So I'm Aya Karunika. I have ordained and trained at Dhammasaranan's monastery for about 10 years, and in 2021 I went to help out with the management at Santi Forest Monastery in Southern Highlands, New South Wales. So now I live on the other side of the continent, but these are my sisters. I've lived with them for periods of time, and I have been a bhikkhuni, fully ordained nun, for 12 years. So.
I'm Ajahn. I joined Dhammasara in 2012, I think, and I was trained in Melbourne, and I wanted to live in a large community, and there wasn't a forest monastery available at that time. So I came and joined Dhammasara, and it's a really beautiful place. Over 500, and if you get a chance, please come and see us. It's a wonderful opportunity for you to practice with us. I'll hand you over to Venerable Soma.
So I'm Venerable Soma, and I lived in Perth, and then I ordained at Dhammasara. So I've been a bhikkhuni for 3 years now. Yes.
So hello everyone, I'm Venerable Vimutti, and I'm a 2 reigns bhikkhuni. But I've been at Dhammasara for a total of about 5 years, and I can't believe it's gone that fast.
So I gently forgot to tell how many reigns you are. You are 11 reigns? 11 reigns. Yes, okay. We are close. We sit next to each other. We used to sit for many years, right? Next to each other. Still friends?
Still friends.
Good. Did you miss me? Yes.
Sometimes.
Okay, thank you. You used to send me letters and little gifts every year. No? Yeah, see? Oh, thank you. All right, so here we go. Dear Ajahn, you mentioned that jhanas arise when their causes are present. What are these causes? This is for Ajahn Brahm. Shall I leave this for Ajahn Brahm? Yes, it's better, no? Okay, dear Aya, I went on a silent retreat once where I felt happy and so smiled at the other retreatants when I saw them. One man misinterpreted this and made inappropriate comments to me after the retreat. After this, I have felt the need to be deliberately in my what is this? Ads? Sets? I don't know this word. Cold. Okay. Colder in my expression and body language towards people, especially men. How can we strike the balance of expressing friendliness and metta without being misinterpreted? Okay. Well, the time of retreat is actually, it's a really great opportunity to go inwards. So not to be too concerned about what others think, but you can turn inwards. You can always have a smile. But where that I deal with these things always is I have a smile. I can smile to myself. I'm not looking at anybody. I just have a general smile and a gaze around. People understand. It's not time to make eye contact and, communication. But if you do meet the eye of a person, you just gently smile and look just a little bit in front and with the eyes bent down kind of thing is helpful if you're struggling. But if you're comfortable with the people, then it is okay just to have a very gentle kind of smile. And I think that's generally okay. And it's very hard. People will always misunderstand, right? People just want to think what they want to think. They want to hear what they want to hear. So don't worry so much about just because of one incident. And just generally being kind and being a bit inward is okay, I think. But I think maybe anybody else want to have any other ideas? Okay, all right, your turn.
Okay. Dear Venerable, what are the challenges of being a nun? Thank you. So there's many angles you can talk to this. And it depends on what type of life you've led formally before becoming a nun as well, to some extent. If you're sort of a quiet person, sort of, looking in, trying to understand your mind, it can be helpful. And if you led a busy life and done a bit of socializing, it might be a little bit difficult, but it can be done. You can quieten down. And one of the hardest things is to look within yourself and recognize some of the things that you need to work on. Right? We don't want to know our flaws, and some of them are quite challenging. And it's, once you're honest with seeing these flaws, and it takes time, some of these things. And as our teachers always say, be kind to yourself, and these things take time. The Buddha talked about the gradual path. And always, give yourself time, give yourself a lot of kindness, and also, talking to your Kalyana Mittas and your teachers. You can work through these things. And some people, I guess the other important aspect is solitude. There's a lot of time that we spend by ourselves, and you need to be able to do that. And as forest nuns, which we are, we spent basically from noon onwards, depending on what duties we have, we spend that time alone. And you need to be able to get used to it, because this is the time that you sit down, you meditate, and you begin to see yourself. And then to work on, some of those things that I mentioned before. So these are the two main challenges that comes to mind with the time that I've been a nun. Hope that's been of help. Thank you.
Dear nuns, how can we let go of relationships when we are emotionally attached or obsessed? I found I'm not good at letting go at all when I broke up with my ex. Thank you. Well, I guess I'll talk from experience. Well, before I became a nun, obviously I had relationships. But then I think with the last one, when I started meditating, what I realized was there were good times, but haven't you seen the stress in it? It's like, it's like you have a happy day, and then that one word, one sentence can, oh, that's it. And then I found myself sort of anxiously waiting for that to happen. And then, oh my God, my whole world would collapse, and you're in one corner, he's in one corner. It's just, and then do you see how I want what I want, the other person wants what they want. Do we really compromise? And can we expect the other person to give in so much? Am I ready to give in so much? For me, it was just seeing that stress. Yes, it's beautiful if both people are into spirituality, if both people want to be better, it helps. But not necessarily in every relationship you find the other partner wants to be. So I guess it's like what the Buddha said, there's gratification, yet there's pleasure in a relationship, in companionship, but then there's always the drawback, the unhappiness, the disputes, and one person ending up not being interested anymore. So I guess that's one way of letting go of attachment. I hope that helps.
Okay, this one says, in your experience, in what ways are nuns treated differently to monks, both here and in other countries? Also, how do you really feel about the monks who do not recognize bhikkhunis? Okay. In my experience, it says, in my experience, what ways are nuns treated differently to monks? Well, I've been very lucky because I've been here. I've been in Perth for over 30 years, and my first real contact with Buddhism was Ajahn Brahm. So I haven't really seen or experienced anything wildly different. Our monks are really very supportive, and we've got this amazing lay community. But I guess I've heard things from other people, and I suppose in a small way, but I don't know if that's because we're nuns or whether it's because our monastery is younger and maybe doesn't have a world-famous person living in it. But there's a tiny, tiny discrepancy in the amount of people and whatever. But it's nothing, We're really amazingly supported, have the most gorgeous people coming and supporting us regularly. It's just mind-blowing. It's amazing. Both here and in other countries. Well, in my experience, I can't... I suppose there was one thing I remember. I won't say in what monastery. I have very limited experience, personal experience in other countries, but I do remember when I was a lay person being in another country. I won't even say the name of the country. And I was in the line to get food. So I was on 8 precepts, so I was behind all the monks. And in this country, there weren't brown-robed nuns. I might be giving it away a bit now. They were a different kind of nun, but they were called nuns. And I remember some of the lay women that stayed there who weren't considered to be nuns, but were also, on 8 precepts like me, but were regularly there. And I don't know if I'm answering this question, but it sort of points to it a little bit. So these were women that were really amazing people, a lot of faith, a lot of devotion, and they sort of helped keep that monastery running in many ways. So incredibly good women, incredibly good qualities, and I'm sure had a lot of practice behind them. But I remember standing there and they said, they called over, so they were the people that were helping in the kitchen sort of, because they worked quite hard, were sort of allowed to come in front of a lot of people, which was fine. But then they saw some guys who were also in 8 precepts, basically their equivalent, and they called them over and they said, come, you're male, come, the male is better, come, go in front. I kept my mouth shut, which was no mean feat, I can tell you. But I was absolutely astounded, and these guys complied with them and even Anjali'd them, saying, oh, thank you. I'm like, they all agreed. They were all in agreement. So there was in some ways, those very good women were part of keeping that, And so it's a struggle then for other nuns from other countries, other traditions, particularly if you're Theravada, because that was Theravada, to then always have support in those circumstances, in that kind of way of thinking. So it's not to put them down or criticize them, but just to recognize that, these things have to be navigated in a sensitive way. And I know some of the other nuns from Dhammasara that have visited that monastery, their approach is so compassionate. They're not there to judge anyone, and they've said to me, when we're there, we keep our rules, even certain rules, even more strictly they're not actually, these particular ones aren't actually technically rules, but certain customs, I suppose you could say, a little more strictly, a little more conservatively, not because necessarily they believe in all of that, but out of compassion for the people that are there that do, because we're not really trying to change anyone or have some kind of revolution or something. That kind of head-on thing is not really helpful, I feel. Also, how do you, I don't know if I've answered that question, I might have gone off on a tangent or two, but anyway, I basically, in my experience, the BSWA has been amazing. How do you really feel about the monks who do not recognise bhikkhuni ordination, or who do not recognise bhikkhunis? How do I really feel? About other people not recognising bhikkhunis. I am still learning a lot about what it means to be a bhikkhuni, and I'm still learning a lot about Dhamma and practice and all of that. So I don't consider myself an expert in anything, but from what I have read, it seems obvious to me that the Buddha wanted the lay people, men and women, to support bhikkhunis, and vice versa. And the monks, it seems obvious to me that that's what he wanted them to do. He wanted them to support us, to nurture our Sangha as well, and to be our brothers. So it's not my business what other monks who don't agree with that want to think or do or say. But you know what? I wouldn't want to be on the other side of the Buddha's instructions. I feel like that's not the kind of karma I want to make. So I'm sure that some of them have done really good things and have helped a lot of people. I hope so anyway, I'm sure. In fact, I know that. I know a few of those monks, and I know that they have helped a lot of people and done a lot of good things. And for whatever reason or reasons, they can't look at things in this way, in this other way, and it doesn't matter how I feel about it. Fortunately, it has very little effect on me. So that's their business and it's their karma.
Dear Venerables, so far on this retreat, I failed to sit long enough to get stillness. It could be lack of energy or restlessness, I think. Please suggest a solution. Well, yeah, so... Does it really matter whether you sit long or not? Because do you remember Ajahn Chah saying, if you can sit long and then you're a better meditator, then the chickens would be better meditators. Ajahn Chah used to say, right? So it's not about whether you sit long or not. It's the quality, right? Just even few minutes, if you are able to have a bit of peace, I think that's good enough, and it just allow it to build naturally. I mean, Ajahn Brahm has been saying all the right kind of amazing things and conditioning so far, but it is learning the art of chillaxing, right? So, when I first came for a meditation retreat, and it was long ago when I was a lay person, I have never meditated, but I decided to go for a 9-day retreat with Ajahn Brahm. And my attitude was, well, I'll eat and sleep and have a jolly good time. He doesn't seem like a really, he's not going to punish me or tell me off. He seems like a kind monk. And if I get some meditation done, well, that'll be bonus. I didn't know very much about anything much. So I don't have too much expectations, because a lot of the people just need to learn the art of relaxing. So even forget about you're on a meditation retreat. Just imagine you're on just a proper retreat. You know what the world says as retreating? Just relax, being peaceful, learning how to unwind and learning how to stop. And this is an excellent place, right? It's got really beautiful energy, beautiful forest and nature, nice people, nice food, nice company, nice entertainment, nice Dhamma. Everything is here, right? Everything is there. So don't put any stress expectations. Rather just learn how to just rest. Yeah, and whenever I offer retreats or meditation instructions, I always call it time for relaxing, time for resting. Because before meditation could begin, we need to go a long way learning how to relax. That's number one. And this I learned from Ajahn Brahm. I used to argue with him. Where did the Buddha say? To stop, let go, relax. And he said, no, you got to relax. You know what young people are like, studying, busy, work, and you come and then you make this also a thing to achieve and thing to do. But you can't do it. It goes opposite, right? So we have to learn the art of relaxing, art of stopping. And for that, it doesn't matter how long you sit, right? You can just walk. You can just, sit in any whichever way. Just sit by the dam. Watch the stars. That's the idea. Do what you need to do to just unwind, relax, and stop. That would be good enough. The rest would happen, I think. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Restlessness also, as Ajahn says, it calms down when you start to sort of enjoy just the nature. Just try to listen to the beautiful sounds. Feel the wind on your face when the sun comes out. Feel the sun on your skin. Just enjoy to the max just the nature, right? Just being present. Learn how to be present. Okay, these are a few things that I tell people when they come to the monastery for lunchtime. Just young people, most of the time come with little kids and people in their 30s, 40s, very busy lives, busy. They're not on a retreat and they still want to meditate and learn how to do this, and they don't have time. So they want to still know how can I stop, how can I benefit. So I tell them, well, when you're having your shower, you can already learn how to become present. Because very often when you're having your shower, you're thinking about all kinds of things, right? You're not there. But having a shower is a very nice, pleasurable, it's a sensual experience, but not something that is really dangerous. It's just nice, hot water on your body, you can feel nicely. You can use that opportunity to just become aware just about your body, water, coming in. I sometimes even mention you can use that time to have a little bit of love for yourself. When you're soaping your body, you can have a bit of kindness, right? Your body, is it yours? Like Ajahn Brahm was telling in the morning, but it has been incredibly helpful, right? It's like our best friend. It has helped us, to do everything. Without this body, we couldn't have done anything, right? So having a bit of gratitude, a bit of kindness to our own body. So take that opportunity to bring up a bit of loving kindness as you soap your body, massage, and you can go crazy like Ajahn Brahm says, make it fun. So that with bit of humor, with a sense of creativity, you become present. You forget about all the work, what happened, all of those. So you can make a break, right, from your day and your whatever happened in the day. And during the shower, you can all wash all of that away and become very present. Just using something you're already doing. So no extra time taken, right? So slowly you relax. And also hot water relaxes you at the same time. Great. Then you can have the opportunity to have a nice cup of tea, right? Or some kind of nice drink, non-alcoholic, of course. and again, you can just become aware of drinking. Again, something that you would do anyway, right? But just silently, instead of having to talk to somebody, just take that time. I'm sure most people have houses with gardens or a veranda or balcony. Sit there quietly. Take that opportunity again to become a little bit more silent, a little bit more aware of what's going on. Right? So like that you can actually learn how to become present. So if you're restless, very busy, you can also have as many cups of tea or water or any other juice and slowly use these kinds of little things that you already do to become aware. Then it's not like something that you do. Your mind doesn't rebel against, because sometimes if you're meditating, it says, no, I don't want to meditate. But now you're doing other things, so you're slightly tricking it, right? So try that anyway.
Okay, this is an interesting question. DIS, is there a female ideal or nuns in the Theravada tradition that inspires lay people by being both active in the world and also being unshaken by the world, like green Tara in the Mahayana tradition, much metta. Okay. I guess you're talking about the Mahayanan tradition, and especially in the Mahayanan tradition, along with the green Tara, which I really don't know much about, there's the Kuan Yin, right? The goddess of compassion, right? And even, some of the nuns, we actually have this beautiful statue also in Bandanoon at Santi and here at Dhammasara. And it's actually a really nice balance. She's known as a god that, had tremendous amount of compassion for people. And I guess especially in the Mahayanan tradition, men look to her, at times of difficulty, and just by looking at that statue can bring you some peace. I mean, sometimes when I'm troubled, I walk down there, and I gaze at her, and it calms me down, right? I don't know a lot about her, but given that our own Lord Buddha was known for the tremendous amount of compassion that he had for all beings, is enough to give me some confidence that that is actually a beautiful quality that anyone can have. Kuan Yin is also known for, although some people can, as it says, get shaken by the atrocities that are happening out there, the cruelty, the unfairness. These beings, including Lord Buddha and Kuan Yin, they were they were like a pillar on the ground, cannot be shaken, cannot be moved. Right, this is a sign of their practice, and if you look at the four Brahma Viharas, compassion is one of them, right? And it's a beautiful quality to develop, even for us. So Kuan Yin comes to mind. And the other person that comes to mind who's now passed away is Mother Teresa, right? In India, she is really well known for the people that she helped, the poor, the poorest of the poor people in India. And, I think she would have done some fundraising and things and provided hospitals and schooling for the children and also the sick. And again, a woman of great strength, right? She saw all the suffering all around her, but it did not shake her, right? She just carried on until she passed away. She helped any being that she possibly could, and all of them. And the last person, and I like to mention a male as well, because we have some males here as well. Nelson Mandela, right? Imprisoned for such a long time, right? Such unfairness, and he came out, and no bitterness, no nothing against these people who treated him so unfairly, and that whole group of people. And what did he do? He turned things around in that country, right? Got these people to look at the African people in a different way, and made a huge difference to their country. So these three people come to mind. What I'd like to stress is that all of us actually should try and develop that compassion. I know I myself, I'm still struggling with that. But it's something that I always have in my mind, and it's one of the things that I continue to work on and to develop in my own practice. I hope that helps.
Dear nuns, I'm curious to learn more about monastic life. Could you please tell us a little about how a typical day in your life looks like? Thank you. So, a typical day, we wake up in the morning, whatever time, because, well, in our monastery, we don't have a set time to wake up, unlike in Bodhiana. But it also works out fine, because some of us go to sleep very late, and then probably wake up around 5 or something, and then the others go to sleep early and then wake up around 3 or something. So anyway, we whatever time we wake up, we have to be there for breakfast by 6:30. And then after breakfast, we have a work meeting. So we do a lot of physical work based on people's physical abilities, of course. So the morning is spent about 2 hours on work. So you might wonder what kind of work we do. Clean toilets, 8 toilets, mind you, not just one. Then basically clean med hall, wash towels, and then there's gardening work, there's cleaning gutters, and there's maintenance work. So there's nuns who can do carpentry, who can fix things, do plumbing if needed. So all of that work gets done in the morning. Then we have lunch dana at 10:30. Once we finish lunch, most of the people who do not have work after lunch, usually they take their lunch and go back. The rest, whoever who has work, will stay behind and finish up what we need to do. After that, it's our own time. So have a shower, have a rest, meditate, go for a walk. 2 evenings of the week we have sits from 7:30 to 9. But pretty much the rest of the days it's our own time until next day morning. So I hope that helps.
Put that one back for someone else. Let me see. Yeah, I could. That would be a very short answer. Okay. This one says, Dear Ajahn, so I think that's for Ajahn Brahm. I wonder if that's for Ajahn Brahm as well. Could be. Maybe I'll see. Oh, that's for Ajahn Brahm. Might be an Ajahn Brahm one, this one. Might be an Ajahn Brahm one too, but we'll give it a go, I think. It's hard to say because there's no doesn't say nuns or Ajahn or whatever. If it's for Ajahn Brahm, you could always write it again and put it back in. Okay. There is a lot of switching between sitting, in brackets breath work, and walking, sensation. This is very distracting. Shouldn't we focus on one or the other to go deeper? I may have made a mistake picking this one. Never mind. Let's give it a go. So I'm part of the problem here is I'm not sure I understand the question. There is a lot of switching between sitting and walking. I'm not sure if the person is asking whether they are physically sitting down and then getting up and going and doing some walking and then coming back. They are? You think that's what they're asking? Or whether they're asking whether they're walking and their breath is distracting them. That's what I'm not clear about. So I'm going to go with the first assumption because I saw people nodding their heads. So I'm going to go with that. Okay, so you're finding it distracting, moving from sitting and walking. Shouldn't we focus on one or the other to go deeper? I wonder why it's very distracting. That's interesting. This is very distracting. That's interesting. I think do what feels good for you. If you're able to sit for a long time, and I wonder if this is because you're following the schedule too tightly. Don't follow the schedule. Maybe you're new to Ajahn Brahm's style. Do not follow the schedule, other than for meals. If you are able to walk for a long period and that's making you feel happy and peaceful, do it. If you're able to sit for a long period and that's making you happy and peaceful, then do that. If you need to lie down and meditate, find a posture where you're less likely to fall asleep, and do that. I know people who do standing meditation. If your body's able to do that, do it. Do what your mind and your body are telling you to do. Listen. Listen. Don't put yourself in a box. That's the whole idea. That's why Ajahn Brahm doesn't want you to follow the schedule. Hasn't he said this already? That's why. The schedule is just there as a guideline. And because some people need a bit more structure, and that's okay because we're all different. But the whole idea is to listen. That's what being present means. Listen. What is your body telling you? What is your mind telling you? What do you need? To go deeper, it says. Shouldn't we focus on one? No, don't focus on one or the other. Listen. If you want to go deeper, that's the skill you need to develop. Not trying to put yourself in a box of what you should be doing. Not trying to go deeper. Because if you have that idea, it's out there somewhere. You have this idea that's far away from you. But you're here. What's going on here? So Ayya Karunika was saying before about, feeling the wind on your face. Ajahn Brahm was saying, I think it was this morning, about learning to see beauty in anything. I won't repeat in what, but in people, in nature, and all kinds of things, to develop that mind. And that's part of learning to listen. So when you are feeling distracted or impatient or frustrated, or anything that you might categorize as being negative, or something that's in your way, you need to get rid of it, you need to figure it out, you need to nut out what this is, investigate it. That attitude, you need to make friends with it. Make friends with that attitude first. That, something's not right. Why? Listen to that. Stop fighting it. Your body and mind are trying to tell you that it's not happy maybe, and just, that's okay. You don't have to feel happy all the time. There's no pressure to be in bliss all the time or anything. You're what you are. It's okay. That's where you start. And all the way through, my understanding so far is that right the way through up until the very end of this path, it's a case of get a little peaceful, and that little bit of peacefulness. We're trying to understand happiness and suffering, right? And suffering. You listen. Oh, I'm suffering right now. It's okay. It's okay if it's distracting. There's nothing wrong with something being distracting. See what that's like. It doesn't stay like that forever. Just make friends. Make friends with your body, however it is. Don't fight it. Make friends with however your mind feels. Be a good friend to yourself.
Okay, interesting question. Is there a family karma we carry? How can we help the loved ones that are deceased? What can we do for them? Okay, so karma, kamma is Chetanahang bhikkave kammang vadami in Buddha's words. That means your intention is your karma. Intention. So it is only yours, right? So the karma is the actions that the intentional actions. So it is only yours. So it is not really shared by others, but there is a way that we can take part with intention. I'll try and explain this. So when somebody does something beautiful, like you see somebody doing something beautiful, you go, oh, that's awesome, that's really nice, how wonderful, right? This has happened in your life, right? So the moment you have said that, you have almost done exactly the same thing yourself, because you have the intention to do that very good act, right? So in that case, even though you didn't do physically, or you didn't give or do anything, but mentally you rejoiced in that, right? So in that way, when you see an external thing, whether it's with your family or anybody else, you make karma, but it's still your karma. But you might see somebody doing something and you go, oh, how come only they get to do, I don't get to do it? And you might feel a bit jealous, right? So then instead of good karma, you might end up with bad karma. So that's still, again, you have created, not them. So this is interesting to see this relationship. Before I go into how to help deceased, which I'll take some time, I also want to say with the family. So usually, not always, we tend to get born into people we've known before because of our attachments. This is already the case, right? When people say, I want to be with you, I want to have the same child, or whatever your attachments, you want to be together later. So that connection is there. Also, they are the people you know, the places you know. So you tend to create, if you know your dependent origination, what is called bhava or existence, is the things you know and things you're attached to. Now, would anybody here want to be a kangaroo? Maybe kangaroo, yes, because you're in Australia, you at least know about kangaroos and what they're like. Maybe if you like eating grass, chilling out in the sun, looks like a nice lifestyle, might think about it. But would you want to be a whale or something? You don't know what the life of a whale is, right? See, the bhava is like wherever you want to come again, is the things you know and you do. The kind of food you like to eat, the places you go, the kind of people you want to hang around is, where you're going to get born often. Not always, this is the tendency. So very often, our immediate family, we have some kind of connection from the past. We have done and been together, things together. Sometimes you do things together, so each individual intention is yours, but if you do all together, let's say you all go and offer dana, the whole family, so then you all create that kind of thing. Or the whole family goes out fishing, and you have that kind of thing. Or as a family maybe done things, so that is there as well. But apart from that, it's just, but the karma is not shared, but there is a connection sometimes with your family members. So, because if you have been together in the past lives and gone through certain things, and there is a possibility in this life also, you reap some consequences together. This is possible. But still, the interesting part is it's your intention, and then also how you respond to it. The interesting thing is people are constantly asking about what happened, what did I do, what was my karma for this to happen. But that what you have done already finished. But what am I going to do with the current situation? So the vipaka. So karma is your intentional action from the past. Vipaka is the consequence that you're reaping now, what is happening to you now. So you ask the question, why am I sick? Why did I lose my job? Whatever happens is my bad karma, people say. But instead of worrying about what happened, it's very complicated, many lifetimes and many things come together. How am I moving forward with this situation? Now this is an interesting question to ask, right? How am I going to deal with whatever is in front of me? So I make actually good karma, better karma for future. Even the circumstances right now are difficult. Maybe you are sick, maybe you did lose your job, right? But how are you going to deal with it? Are you going to fall down and cry and weep and worry and say, I'm really bad, maybe done bad things in the past, and just stay like that? Or make use of that opportunity, whatever it is. I'll tell a story because we are in entertainment. It's not a funny story, but it's just a story. I'm not good with jokes. This was one of my uncles who lost his job in his peak of his life in his 40s. Usually when you're in your mid-40s is when you're really going up in your career. He lost his job, and he was a hotelier. So he was somebody who was into all this, fun and games and interesting kind of lifestyle, not really into Dhamma, but more into entertainment, parties, and that kind of lifestyle. But when he lost his job, and he couldn't get back into job for a couple of years, very interestingly. So he was really bored out of his skull, and he had some friends. This is also the really nice thing about good friendship, right? He had some friends who went to listen to some Dhamma and went to some meditation class. Because he was so utterly bored, had nothing else to do, he just followed his friends and went to a meditation class and did some meditation. And then to this day now, he's meditating and really practicing well. This may have never happened to him if he never lost his job. Right? So was it bad karma or good karma? Yeah. Can you see? Many things. Many people, when they get told they have cancer or some other kind of real difficult health issues, that is suddenly when they wake up becoming, otherwise they were just heedless in life, just going around, wasting a life, and suddenly they get awakened. Oh my goodness, life may be short, what am I going to do? And suddenly that actually changed the course of their life. We saw many of that happen during COVID, right? So sometimes it's really, we can't say good or bad, whatever it is, but it's up to us. What do we do with it? So whatever it is, if you're able to learn from it and grow from it in the Dhamma for your betterment, that is a better way to look at it, right? So this is just not quite about the question, but because it's about karma and concerns about karma, rather than worrying about what happened, how are you going to deal with what you have right now, which is the result of your past karma, whether as a family or individually. But when it comes to how do you help somebody who is deceased, it goes like this. It's a really interesting I first learned this from Venerable Dhammika, who's an Australian monk. I don't know whether you've heard about him. When I was a layperson, I met him, and he actually told me, and he was the one who taught me, and I realized it's a really good way to explain this. Because very often we go to the monasteries when somebody passes away, offer dana, and do some chanting, and expect the merit to be transferred. And very many people don't know how this happens. Do you have a bank account, like karma account? Do you know how much you have in there? And after having done this, do you know how much karma did you pass on? We don't, right? We just blindly kind of do this. I did this for a long time when I was little. And this is how this monk explained, and I thought it was really nice way to explain. So let's say it's your birthday, right? And some of your family or your friends do something really nice and say, I did this for you, for your birthday. How do you feel? You feel happy, right? You feel, wow, my family, my friends love me, and they did this nice thing for me. How wonderful. And you feel so happy, and you say, awesome, or sadhu, or whatever, right? You rejoice in that, you're happy. So merit is that happiness in your mind. So in the same way, when somebody has passed away, then you can also do something which they like. Now, this is an interesting thing. Very many Buddhists believe that, going to the monastery, offer dana, and passing merit would be the best thing. But some of their relatives, they're not really interested in Buddhism. I mean, there are people, right, in your families, even if it is a Buddhist families, there are some, they're not interested in going to the monasteries and feeding the monks and nuns. They think that's not helpful. I mean, people have different views. They'd rather go and feed some people in an orphanage, or maybe help some animals who need help. And that's fair enough, right? Different people have different views and what they like. So if one of your relatives who's not very keen on giving dana to the monks and nuns, but rather like to help some animals, then please, if when they pass away, don't go to the monastery and offer dana and say, I'm doing this for you. They will get very upset because then you can't pass merit, right? But instead, you can do whatever they like that are actually something wholesome. Not like if they like hunting, you went hunting for them. Not like that. But everybody does something that is nice and helpful that they like. So do something like that. And in your mind, you say, I'm doing this for you. If you're there, I know you appreciated doing this when you were living. These are things you supported while you were living. So I'm continuing this, and may you be happy with this. So if that person's spirit is around and see, they will be happy. Wow, my family, my friends remember, they still support things I used to like, and they have joy. Their spirit has joy. That is how the merit is being transferred. Isn't it interesting, right? So this is where you can help somebody who's deceased, one way of merit. The other thing that is really, really important is when somebody passes away, it is really important that you celebrate their life. I mean, it's very hard to find perfect people, right? So people have both good and bad. But everybody has some good in their life, right? Many people have many good things. So make sure when somebody has passed away, you talk about their good things. If their spirit is around, they'll hear and they will remember things that they have forgotten. Right? Little things that they have done for you. Remember, you are the first person who took me to see Ajahn Brahm. Now look, I'm going to 9-day retreats. Right? Something like this, something small. Maybe that person is not meditating, but they were just, gave you a ride. Maybe they just went to see the monastery, something like this. Whatever it is, just celebrating people's life, reminding them and talking about their goodness when they hear. That brings them joy, right? So these are kinds of ways that you can help the deceased. So that's what I will say for this.
My mind keeps thinking, help. That's a classic question. Thinking is part of being a human being. It's a natural process. And the more we try and control it and fight it, the more it rebels. What to do? And I'll go back to Ajahn Brahm's classical saying, make peace, be kind, be gentle. Right? What I found in my life is I used to work in IT for a long time. And it took me a long time to settle my mind because I was troubleshooting all the time, fixing problems. And it took me a very long time. I used to even have dreams about, fixing problems. And that went on for quite a few years, right? And because I didn't really understand it, I was thinking, why? I'm a nun now, I live in the forest. What's wrong with me? Why am I having this? And this went on for years. And, I felt really bad and I was just really frustrated. And it came to a point that, I just, this is my past life. This is what I did. And I just got to be patient for it to calm down. So I just waited, and waited. It requires patience. And I think the most useful thing is just to understand this is just natural. This is what minds do. Just accept it. And the more kindness you show towards that thinking, minds usually tell you something because they think that what they have to say is important. So listen. Right? Listen to your mind and try and understand it. And if this is obsessive thinking, then you just need to wait it out until it dies down. Most of the time, as you know, our teachers say, the mind is a liar, right? Sometimes it just tells you this utter rubbish, right? Which, is really not beneficial to your practice. But again, acknowledge it, it's just trying to be heard. So it requires patience, understanding, and just wait it out, right? And I've seen for myself that, my goodness, it has taken me many years to not think technically. And I'm happy to say, I do have occasional dreams about IT still, but not this, not like every night, that I used to have, and then be woken up and I can't get back to sleep. And it's that obsessive thing because you think this is real and you need to fix this problem and you're going through all these scenarios and yes, this is what I'm going to do. And, this is just, it's that usual ego trip that you have at work, yes, I can fix this. But what actually is helpful also is maybe do some chanting. Do some chanting. Chanting's helpful for some people. The other thing is, especially if that thinking is happening, whilst you're doing sitting meditation, you're just trying to calm down. Do what Ajahn Brahm says. Go for a walk. Make yourself a nice cup of tea. Right? Sit down and watch the trees grow. Right? You're short-circuiting that thinking. Whatever works for you, like it could be even painting or doing some gardening, whatever your hobby is. And especially at the start, if that thinking is happening a lot, it's good to break it by redirecting your mind to some other activity, that you can switch off. And trust me, that thinking will die down. It has for me. And it's a wonderful feeling, when that obsessive thinking, troubleshooting, all that dies down and you can actually see that for yourself. So, just, be patient and you will see changes happening. That's all I have to say.
Well, I'll let somebody else answer this. It's about guru worship, so I'm not really sure what it is. Can you astral travel? We are not supposed to say anything of our abilities to lay people, but no.
Is that the last one? Yeah. Okay, I'll give it a go. What is it in the human psyche that leads us to guru worship? Okay, there's context to this question, so I'll read the rest of it. What were the causes and conditions that led to the establishment of Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism? Is the worship of gurus a result or departure from MN 108, which talks about the Vinaya being the Buddha's successor? Is the worship of gurus a result or a departure? What are the dangers of guru worship? What is it in the human psyche that... There's a lot of questions here. What is it in the human psyche that leads us to guru worship? I think we want answers, don't we? We want certainty. We want to feel safe. We want to feel like we don't have to do any work. Someone else will sort it all out for us. The human psyche. I think maybe it comes down to that sense of self that we have, which we cherish so much and think is so real. That sense of self in us looking for a mirror in someone else, someone else's sense of self. Wanting to make it more real than it actually is, wanting to look for safety where there isn't any. I think that's partly what's going on there. It's a very dangerous thing. What were the causes and conditions that led to the establishment of Mahayana and Vajrayana Buddhism? I don't know. I wasn't there. And I haven't made a study of it. But I imagine, from what tiny little bit I do know, and what I can imagine, is that, people, as a religion gets more widespread and more people are more different kinds of people, different kinds of cultural groups start interacting with it. People have all these needs, and demands that they place upon a religion, which often it can't sustain. It wasn't meant to meet all those demands. Then, different ways of it. They're almost like conversations with the original text. So you had the original text, one of which you've referred to here, MN 108. It's later generations of Buddhists, engaging with those early teachings, sometimes to the point where they've forgotten the early teachings, because there's so much else comes out, which I hope I'm not sounding like I'm putting anyone down, because that's not my intention. It's people trying to help and do the right thing and what they think is right, and then it's up to you whether you want to what degree you want to engage with all of that. I know for me personally, apart from Ajahn Brahm, the other teacher that's really influenced me is Ajahn Brahmali, and he's always very much about early Buddhist texts. And so for me, taking refuge in the Buddha means going back to that and trying to figure out what that is, and that takes up so much of my time that anyway, I've gone off on a tangent again. That's really all I can say. I think there's a lot of beauty in those traditions. From the tiny bit I've looked at them, there are some very beautiful and useful things there, and I think there's no harm exploring if you feel that way inclined, and it makes you happy and peaceful and makes you a kinder person. I think that's always the standard for me. If it's, can I be kind in all circumstances? No. At the moment, no. But that's the criteria for me, if something is helpful or not. Does it help me in that? That to me is the most important marker of whether something is useful for me or not. Again, a tangent, sorry. Is the worship of gurus a result or a departure from MN 108, which talks about the Vinaya being the Buddha's successor? The Vinaya, yeah, I would say so. I cannot remember what MN 108 is. Which one's MN 108? Is that it? Dhamma Vinaya, okay. The Dhamma Vinaya, and my understanding, again, very inexperienced and new at being a nun, is that the Vinaya is an emanation of the Dhamma, all right? So Dhamma has to take priority, so Dhamma Vinaya, and also this is not my expert knowledge, but Ajahn Brahmali's, who says that often in the early Buddhist texts when the word Vinaya is used, it's referring to practice. It's not referring to a codified set of rules. It's later, although I think it's still within the Buddha's lifetime, possibly. Don't quote me on this, but that's what I understand so far, is that later within the Buddha's lifetime it started to mean a codified set of rules for the monastics. But that codified set of rules, I'm slowly learning, only 2 vassas, 2 rains retreats under my belt, really is incredibly helpful. Incredibly. I'm just already, as a tiny little baby bhikkhuni, just blown away. And I still keep finding different things. Ayakarnika chanted today is the Apositha, so is it the full moon or the new moon? New moon, okay. So Ayakarnika chanted the Patimokkha, our monastic code today, 311 rules. We all sat together and she chanted it. And Venerable Soma checked to make sure she wasn't making any mistakes. And someone knocked on the door and we were like, no, ignore it. We actually cannot get up because we'll have to start again, I think that's right. And each time I see some other aspect of Dhamma, just that psychology. If you want to talk about the human psyche, this whole idea that we're conditioned, that actually there's nothing in there, that we're just empty process, an empty process that responds to love and virtue and wholesome mind states, then the fact that I'm keeping these rules, I keep finding a blessing in it. Again and again. It's just amazing. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity. This is what being a bhikkhuni means. It's the opportunity to keep these rules. And I keep seeing aspects of Dhamma in there and practice and how supportive it is. I can't believe the rest of you don't want to do it. What's wrong with you all? So yeah, I think it is a departure from, guru worship is a departure from the Dhamma Vinaya, being the successor of the Lord Buddha. Which is not to say that it's not incredible to have a teacher like Ajahn Brahm in our midst, because he actually lives that, and he doesn't want to be a guru. He's trying to get rid of us. He's trying to make us independent. That's why he teaches, so that we look within ourselves and we take responsibility for our spiritual lives. That's what he wants us to do. He doesn't want us to worship him as a guru. When we bow down to him and we have this reverence for him, which we should, we're seeing the potential that's in us. We're saying what you are is amazing. What you've grown over 50 years is amazing. And I want to do that. Slowly, very slowly. What are the dangers of guru worship? You lose that. You lose that independence. You give your safety to somebody else, you'll never get enlightened that way. You'll never make any progress that way. Because you have to believe. It's not even about believing. You're responsible for yourself. At the end of the day, to the point that you choose to keep 8 precepts. You choose to come, I suppose you're conditioned to choose, but let's not go into that. You choose to listen to Ajahn Brahm. So you're the only one that can find the way out. Someone else can't do it for you, but they can help.
If I may, I would like to add a tiny bit to that. I was just doing a bit of studying for the upcoming gradual training. Nice time to advertise. BSWA has a gradual training workshop coming up in November on the 15th. So for the first session, Ajahn Brahm and I will be teaching this very thing, starting the gradual training. Is starting with the Dhamma and how to come about. But I was just doing a little bit of reading and actually realized in pre-Buddhist times, guru worship, like in the Brahmanical system, was a very done thing, that they thought just worshipping the guru itself was making merit. There was these kinds of beliefs. Right, so this is just really there because not just only way, but it is in the system. So we fall back again sometimes. Unfortunately, now also in the Buddhist world, again people fall back to this, and it is kind of really dangerous. So if you want to read a little bit more and understand about this, read Majjhima Nikaya, that is Middle Length Discourses, Sutta number 95, called Chanki Sutta. Right, in the Chanki Sutta, the Buddha gives a very good way, because worshipping, there is a part. It is there in the Buddha's teachings, but how it is done, the Buddha has given, and it is important to know. So otherwise, if you don't also have worship or veneration or respect for the teacher, the path doesn't work either. So this is a fine balance that we need to understand. If we also become very arrogant and saying you don't need a teacher and don't really treat your teacher with disrespect, it is equally difficult and not helpful, but not blindly worshipping the Guru either, which is the danger. Before I go into how to do it properly, one of the biggest dangers also with Guru worship that is happening is that you get led astray into places. Sometimes there are these incredibly famous gurus and then you end up being abused by them. This is quite well known, right? And get into very big difficulty. So who turned out at the surface as your incredible good teacher like Kalyana Mitta turn into a Papa Mitta, like somebody who takes you down into the other direction. This is not uncommon. This is happening. So be aware of it. It is very important not to just blindly follow just because somebody is famous. Just because there are so many people following and praising and they're just charismatic. Just because of those things, many people just go in the wrong direction and get into trouble. So having awareness is important, which is why this sutta, I'm not going to go into great detail, but what the Buddha says there is when you come across a teacher which you think is suitable, not to just go straight away, but observe, spend some time with them and see whether these venerable ones have very gross levels of greed, hatred and delusion. Right? It's not to judge everybody. I mean, if you wait for the perfect person, also going to be difficult. Of course, like Venerable mentioned, Buddha is the ultimate teacher. But if you also need an actual living teacher as well for some guidance, this is how you choose. So observe for a while. It takes a while to see and get to learn. Go and spend some time in those monasteries. Because what you see on the stage at a Dhamma talk, somebody, is very different to when you actually go and live with them. So you spend some time and get to know. And only after observing and repeatedly spending some time, if you see that they are living the Dhamma in the right way, then the Buddha says, then it is important that actually you gain confidence in that teacher. Okay, they are actually teaching the Buddha's teachings, they are doing their practice to their best ability, they are kind, they are peaceful, all of those things. Then you get a sense of respect in your heart. Then it is important, the Buddha says, that you go and meet them regularly and you pay respects to them, and also then you ask questions. And then once you gain your confidence, this is Shraddha, which is a very important faculty, a very important aspect in your practice. When you have confidence, then only you will lend the ear. That is when you will actually listen and pay attention and take on board the teaching. So for that process you need that, but before you take up a guru, it's very important that you do some research, study them. This is Buddha's instruction for you. Otherwise we can really get led astray, and this is happening in the world. So very important to remember this. That's all I wanted to add. It's 8:45, so I'm sure we all could have an early ending to the session, unless anybody else have any questions that on the floor that you would like to ask any one of us before we close. All right. Okay. Yes. Yes.
I've been listening to different teachers, to Ajahns and Ayahs, and what is really remarkable to me is that when the Ayahs teach, it's so much more softer, more gentle than when Ajahn teaches. Why is that? Do the Ayah teachers teach the bhikkhunis in a different way, in a different, how should I say, interpretation? Because I've noticed the same thing in other situations, that when you have male teachers and female teachers, the female teachers teach the same thing, but in a totally different way. And I've been wondering, why is that?
Well, there could be many reasons, but they're two different genders, right? They operate differently, and this is why we need bhikkhus and bhikkhunis in the world, right? So you get a different perspective. It's interesting. It is important to have this, right? Because it is not, because we benefit from getting a different angle. For everything it's like that. The two genders look at something in a different way, operate in a different way. I don't know whether it's just the gender, but different people are different. Just because you're mentioning as a whole, there is a big difference, but sometimes there are probably gentle speaking monks and more different nuns also, but in general, the variation, if you have noticed that is a gift, that is why we need bhikkhunis in the world as well, just not bhikkhus. So not answering the question why is just because we are probably different, and we need to recognize the difference, that there are differences in how we operate. Our hormones are different, our biology is different, our cycles are different, our roles in society is different as well. Certain roles are for, like, being a mother. No man will be a mother, right? No man will give birth. So things like that are different. So therefore, we probably have certain different ways of operating. But the important thing is we need both perspectives. What do you think? Isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else like to add to this?
Why are we different?
Yeah.
Why? I don't think I can add anything more to that. That question was answered so beautifully. Yeah, I guess the conditioning is different. In general, I don't want to, there's so much variation within the human species, but I guess the conditioning must be, if you've noticed that over a long period of time, that's your anecdotal experience, then I guess it's not something I've thought about much, but that's interesting.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a follow-up, yeah.
I was thinking myself that because of the really great bhikkhuni teachers that you have, do you have some, how should I say, oral history and oral teachings that actually follow down through the generations? Because I know in certain other situations, there is an oral history that is brought down through the generations in a way that isn't brought down on the male side.
Actually we don't. In the Theravada tradition, the Bhikkhuni order died out about 10 centuries ago, and we've kind of rebirthed ourselves. We've come back to life. And so we don't have that, and the monks actually do have that. But I have to say, just a little plug for my preceptor, Ajahn Brahm. She's an incredibly... I suppose you have to live with someone to really see all the different facets of them. She's just so compassionate and just so lovely to go and have a cry with, And I've just found just such a relief to know that there's, she's very quiet in her leadership in some ways. Like, she's not super famous like Ajahn Brahm, and she takes her responsibility of nurturing us all very seriously. And so in a way she does it very quietly without too much fanfare. But she gives us a lot of time, personal time. And I think we're all very grateful. I think everyone sitting here would agree with me. she's very, very soft-hearted and very generous. Yeah, I don't really have much more to add, unfortunately. Sorry.
Just on the back of, there was two things. I wanted to thank you for your answer around the guru question. And you said something really interesting, and I just wanted to unpack that. When you said, when you give yourself over to a guru, you give your safety. You lose your safety. What did you mean by safety? No, I just thought you had something really interesting there to say.
Well, I think the question, it's because of the way the question started, it's asked something about the human psyche, and I feel with this sense of self that we have, which is, the Buddha said, is a delusion, right? It's not actually there. That's what we want to protect it. We want to feel safe. And when we go looking for a teacher, especially a spiritual teacher, we're looking for answers to why we're suffering and how we can make ourselves feel better, and how we can stop the world feeling like it's out of control. Tick this box, cross that box, and we're okay. It's like sometimes you can approach our life, our monastic life, like that, even like keep all these rules perfectly, and then we'll be okay. I'm not saying there isn't something to that, but it's not in that way, not with that particular attitude. So, it's like looking for mum and dad again or something. Keep me safe. What do I do? I don't know what to do with my life. What do I do? No, a good teacher will, give you some tools, or be a good role model, or encourage you to do something wholesome. But at the end of the day, they're going to tell you to do it themselves. They'll rarely give you advice. That's been my experience with Ajahn Brahm. So when he has given me advice or told me, given me an idea of what I should or shouldn't do, I've taken it very seriously, because it's been very rare. You've got to figure it out yourself. And that doesn't always feel safe. But I think to live a spiritual life that's real, you have to be willing to not always feel safe.
Now, the reason I asked it because I came back recently from the Sakya-Dita, or this women's conference in Malaysia, and as Venerable Ayya Karunika was alluding to, there's a lot of terrible things that happen when people give themselves over, and I was quite shocked, and I was just interested to hear the viewpoint. An added bonus to hear it from the nuns.
Yeah, so the Buddha's advice was not to give yourself like that. So that's the main difference, yeah. Because even when I was on the train to the airport for this trip, there was a lady who came sharing some, brochures for Gospels and things. And there was another lady sitting on the carriage, was trying to really convince, seeing me, I'm a Buddhist nun, still, they're still, saying that you can't do it yourself, you need somebody. So for them, it's the God. So either guru or a God. So somebody is a very general view, and then you actually give yourself to. So this is the danger, but the difference in Buddhism is that Buddha didn't recommend that. In fact, he said, this is not how to do it. Nobody else can do it for you. You have to take charge. So that's why there is no praying, because they was asking, what is your prayer? How do you pray? I said, we don't pray. They couldn't even understand that. How can you not pray? How can you not have somebody to look over you? Kind of, this is beyond for them. And when you have this kind of thing, it's very dangerous. So this is why it's really important to understand the difference, because you see at the very outset some of the things we do seem like the same thing. They even said to me as well, it's very similar. Because outside you can see, but how you do, your mental attitude and why you do it, there's a big difference in how you apply yourself. And this is what we need to learn. Yeah. Okay, so now it's almost 9 o'clock. I'm sure it's time to meditate more. It's now getting into the middle of the retreat. Hopefully people are not so tired. Now your energy is coming up. Lots of nice Dhamma talks from Ajahn Brahm, inspiring ourselves. So night is still young. So if you like, you can have a little break, have a walk, and come back and continue meditating. Enjoy the rest of your retreat. Okay. Have a good night.